I want to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. Think about the last time you worked hard for something, really hard. Not for a day, not for a week, but for months, maybe years. You showed up, you gave your best, you made sacrifices nobody asked you to talk about. You carried things in silence. And at the end of it all, almost nobody noticed. Now here's what I really want to ask. Did that change what God thought of you? Most people would quickly say, no, of course not. But deep down, deep in the place where we don't usually let people look, there's a different answer. A quieter one. One that sounds more like, maybe he didn't notice either. Today I want to show you something from the Bible that completely changed the way I think about being overlooked. And I promise you, by the end of this video, the seasons of your life that felt most invisible will look completely different to you. But to get there, we have to start with a man standing in the middle of dry land, building something that made absolutely no sense. His name was Noah. And before we talk about the flood, I need you to picture something. Picture a man spending years cutting wood, hammering boards, building a massive boat on dry ground, in a world that had never seen rain. The Bible doesn't record every conversation from that era, but human nature hasn't changed much, so I think we can make a reasonable guess about what people were saying. Has he lost his mind? Look at him, still working on that ridiculous thing. What a waste of a life. Day after day, year after year. Noah heard none of the applause. He received none of the recognition. And here's the part that has always stopped me cold. He kept building anyway. Not because people believed in him, not because results were obvious, not because it made sense to anyone watching. He kept building because he believed God. Now, here's where I want you to stay with me. Because what I'm about to say sounds simple, but it takes most people decades to really understand it. Sometimes obedience looks foolish before it looks faithful. The very people who laughed at Noah were standing in a place where they could not yet see what God was doing. And maybe, just maybe, some of the people in your life who don't understand what you're doing are standing in the same place. The absence of their recognition did not mean the absence of Noah's purpose. And it doesn't mean the absence of yours either. But Noah's story is actually the easiest of the three I want to share with you today. Because the next man we're going to talk about faced something much harder than being ignored. He was mocked while he was working. His name was Nehemiah, and his mission was to rebuild the broken walls of Jerusalem. Now, here's something nobody usually tells you about rebuilding. It doesn't just attract support, it attracts critics. And the criticism doesn't wait until after you've finished. It arrives before you've even gotten momentum. One of Nehemiah's enemies made a comment that has actually survived thousands of years. He said, essentially, that even a fox climbing on that wall would knock it down. Think about what that feels like. You're sweating, you're working, you're trying to do something meaningful. And someone who never volunteered to help, stands at a distance and laughs at everything you're building. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced that? Maybe not with a wall, maybe with a business, a ministry, a dream, a goal, a decision that took everything you had to make. And someone who never had the courage to try what you're trying decided to let you know exactly why it won't work. I've been there, more than once. Here's what Nehemiah did, and this is the part that I think is actually radical. He didn't stop to argue. He didn't stop to defend himself. He didn't try to convince them. He didn't post a response. He kept building. At 60 years old, I've learned that one of the most exhausting things a person can do is spend their life trying to convince every critic that they're doing a good job. You will never finish your work if you're constantly stopping to answer everyone who doubts you. Nehemiah understood that, and the wall got finished. But here's the story I've been saving, because this one is different. This one isn't about being misunderstood while you're doing the right thing. This one is about suffering because you did the right thing. Joseph. His story has always fascinated me, because so much of what happened to him happened while he was faithful. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, taken far from everything he knew, and somehow, he kept his character intact. Then he worked hard. He earned trust. Things slowly began improving. And what happened? He was falsely accused, thrown into prison, forgotten. I want you to imagine lying awake in that cell, asking questions that many of us have asked in our own way. God, I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm doing what I believe is right. So why is everything getting harder? Have you ever asked that question? I have. Because somewhere along the way, most of us pick up a quiet belief. A belief we never quite say out loud, but that shapes how we feel when things get hard. If I'm faithful, things should get easier. And then they don't. And we don't know what to do with that. Here's what I want you to hold on to, because this is the thing that changes everything. Joseph could not see the palace from the prison. He couldn't see the future. He couldn't see what was being prepared. He couldn't see the people he would one day help. All he could see was the cell around him. And that's often where we are too. We judge God's entire plan based on the single chapter we can see right now. But Joseph's prison was not proof that God had abandoned him. It was simply one chapter in a story that wasn't finished yet. And maybe that's exactly what you need to hear today. Now I want to say something that might feel uncomfortable. Why do we need recognition so badly? Don't misunderstand me. There's nothing wrong with appreciation. We all need encouragement. We all need to feel valued. That's part of being human. But there's a difference between needing encouragement and building your identity on applause. Because here's the problem with applause. It's inconsistent. One day people celebrate you, the next day they criticize you. One day they notice you, the next day they've already moved on. If your sense of worth depends on their response, your peace depends on their response too. And that is a very unstable place to live. Jesus said something I keep coming back to. He talked about acts of faithfulness done in secret, things nobody else sees. And again he reminded people, your Father sees what is done in secret. Nothing is truly unseen. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is forgotten. Not by God. That means the conversations nobody remembers, He remembers. The small sacrifices, He saw them. The quiet moments when you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier, He was watching. So let me bring this back to you. Noah, Nehemiah, Joseph. 3 men who were misunderstood, mocked, forgotten, overlooked. And none of them were sustained by applause. They were sustained by purpose. That's the phrase I want you to take with you today. Sustained by purpose, not recognition. Because purpose can carry you through seasons where applause never comes. Purpose can keep you moving when nobody understands. Purpose can help you endure criticism without being destroyed by it. When you know why you're doing something, other people's opinions lose some of their power over you. Maybe nobody notices your effort right now. Maybe nobody fully understands what you're carrying. Maybe you're exhausted from doing the right thing in a season where very little seems to be changing. I want to say this as clearly as I can. Being overlooked by people does not mean you are overlooked by God. The seasons that felt most invisible may turn out to be the seasons that shaped you most. Noah kept building. Nehemiah kept rebuilding. Joseph kept trusting. And eventually, what looked meaningless revealed its purpose.
Not immediately, not easily, but eventually.
So keep building. Keep trusting. Keep showing up. Keep doing what is right. Not because people are watching, but because God is. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever gone through a season where you felt completely unseen? What kept you going? Leave it in the comments. Your words may be the thing that someone scrolling through today actually needs to hear. And remember this: some of the most important work you'll ever do will never receive applause on earth. But heaven sees what people miss. Walk with God.